So you want to play Quan in Mortal Kombat 1, but you're not sure which cameo fighter to pick. Today, we will be checking out each cameo and seeing which ones complement Quan Chi's playstyle and moveset the most. This will be a great starting point for anyone new to the game or new to the character of Quan Chi. And I'll also leave the timestamps in the description if you want to jump to a specific character. Consider supporting the channel by becoming a YouTube member. Members gain access to a custom support badge next to their name on this channel, exclusive emotes to use on YouTube, and members are shouted out in video descriptions and monthly community posts. You can find the join button under each of my videos and on my channel page as well. Thank you guys for all your support. Let's get right into the video. So our first cameo up, as always in these cameo videos, is going to be Darrius. Honestly, a cameo that I love to use with every single character in the game. And he's got some pretty cool stuff that he could do with Quan Chi. Our first move is going to be the twister kicks. A really great way to honestly start a game. You can kind of just call it out. You're at that perfect range for it to hit. It's safe. It puts them at full screen. So also this gives us a chance to kind of set up back here. And we can go into our projectiles and our zoning, which Quan Chi definitely wants to do. But cameo Darrius actually got a brand new move this season. And honestly, it doesn't work if you just try to call it in. But it works as soon as you knock your opponent down. So then we can call it in. As you can see, you could, barely see, he pops out on the other side right behind them and he hits them with a 6% overhead. So what I really like about doing this with Quan Chi is we can push them full screen with the twister kicks, and then you can immediately call them in for the overhead. That sets us up back here. Again, we can go into our buff, or if we just knock them down, set it up. Now we go into our buff, and they really can't do anything. It's actually kind of crazy. When you knock them down, you just call it in. Now we can go back here also. We can do some air projectiles. Really solid way to just keep control. But honestly, what it's looking like for me is I'm pretty much knocking them back, immediately calling it in. I'm setting up buff, and I'm going into my projectiles. Another thing I like to do with spin kicks is, of course, we stick the stand 4 out. We're going to be using this a lot with Quan Chi and all of our cameos. So you can stick the stand 4 out, go into the spin kicks, again, bring them in overhead, set up buff, go projectiles. Really solid pressure, but kind of just doing this, it's completely safe, and if it hits, 18%. So just in that sequence alone, Darrius can bring some really cool stuff to Quan Chi's kit and actually make it work. But now, of course, the main move, which takes up the whole bar of cameo, the tornado kick, and this is going to be used for combo extenders and things like that. We could do some things with it. It doesn't add any like insane damage like it might do for some other characters. But for example, if we are in the mid screen, we can get like 33%, I think. Let's actually go with a meter burn version here just to really see what we could do. Call it in. And just like that, yeah, that's going to take 2 bars a meter and your whole cameo for 38%. It's good, but it's super expensive, which you're going to hear me say a lot in this cameo guide with Quan Chi, just because this move here takes up 2 bars a meter. But if we don't want to use 2 bars a meter, we want to keep it completely meterless, we could do that too. Add a little bit of an extension and get over 30. Honestly, as long as we're getting over 30% with Quan Chi, I think the cameo is pretty good. Then in the corner, of course, we could do some pretty cool stuff with tornado kick. Again, let's kind of show burning both bars a meter just to see what we can get. 2-1. Again, the same thing, like 36% in the corner. 2 bars a meter in full cameo. Really expensive. Again, I don't know if we're going to be using that. If we don't have any meter and we want to kind of just go for a basic combo, we could definitely do that. 2-1. And then that'll get us about 28% in the corner. But again, whole cameo bar. And then last but not least, we have the overhead double kick, which you can delay. And then it pops them up for full combo. So if you want to set it up for free, you could usually do like a stand 4. Set it up. It'll hit them. Delay. Low. Overhead. 2-1 full combo. Really simple stuff there if you can get it to work. And it only takes up half a bar of cameo, which I like a lot. So a lot of utility there for sure with double overhead. So Darrius is really weird. Like usually it's all about the tornado kick, get a crazy combo, really cash out. But you're not really getting too much of that. But honestly, I'm liking Darrius way more as like a setup supplement to Quan Chi, right? Push them full screen, pop them out. We can go into setup here. Maybe we get full combo. And then Darrius is like slowly but surely coming back while we do everything else for the round. I don't know. It's interesting. Darrius is always unique, but this is the first time where like using his other moves, especially this full screen overhead knockdown, have been way more beneficial, I'm seeing, to start than the twister kick. And our next cameo up is actually my personal favorite choice for Quan Chi, and that's going to be Sareena. If you guys watched my ranked Quan Chi video from a couple days ago, we were rocking with Sareena the entire time. She's just so good. And that is strictly because of Kia's blades, the damage combo extender. This opens up Quan Chi to be able to get so much more damage that he really just can't get without burning basically 2 bars a meter. And even then, when you are burning 2 bars a meter, you're just not getting this damage at all. This is no meter at all. Over 40% in the mid screen. So you're breaking 400 damage with Quan Chi, which I just feel like is not supposed to happen. So to be able to get that is absolutely insane. And then let's say we do want to burn all of our resources. We don't really care, right? 2-1-4, 2-1-4 again. Then we go into our back 3 string. And we go 1-3, stand 4. We'll burn both bars a meter now. breaking that 400 damage even more, and you're getting about 440. So if you burn the extra 2 bars of meter, you're getting 40 extra damage. Is it worth it? That's up to you in the moment. But still, breaking that 400 damage with Quan Chi is so good. But not only that, we can actually break 500 damage with Quan Chi and Sareena in the mid screen and without using any of Quan Chi's meter. And it's literally just by using 214 and Kia's blades and then fatal. And there we go, just like that, 507 damage in the mid screen. Didn't use a single bar of meter. Pretty insane that Sareena opens up Quan Chi to be able to do that. And that's literally why I like Sareena. I'm basically always just hit confirming into Kia's blades, whatever I'm doing. So another thing that's really good about Kia's blades is that combos off Quan Chi stand 4. The trickiest move in the game right now that catches people all the time. You just go stand 4 into blades. You can go stand 4 into blades again. And we can go stand 4 one more time. Why not? We're breaking 32%, basically just using 2 moves. But something that it could also look like stand 4, go into the blades. We have plenty of time to walk up and get our full, like, big damaging combo that we're really looking for. Again, getting that 35% off a stand 4 into blades. And honestly, it doesn't even matter if they're blocking. You just call it in. You're getting chipped. And they can't punish you from back here. It's just so good. You'll always randomly see me call this out. Even if I don't, you know, you're not hit confirming, you're just calling it out. If it does hit, you can get an easy follow-up. She also does have a straight projectile, which is really good. I'm seeing a lot more people use this right now, which is great. She recharges so quick, you can just let this rip. Really good supplement to all of your other projectiles you have as Quan Chi. Honestly, with Quan Chi being one of the best zoners, just adding another projectile to his kit is really good. Sareena also has a great reversal. Honestly, it's got some decent range too. Quan Chi's armored getup is good, but it doesn't work all the time. So honestly, just using this reversal to get your opponent off you has been pretty beneficial. And I'm seeing a lot of Quan Chi players use this kind of as their reversal stay away from me tool, which I like. But another way that I'm using Sareena is her aura, which just depletes your opponent's meter. And honestly, when I'm playing Quan Chi and Sareena, rarely ever is my opponent gonna have meter, let alone breaker. So one thing I really like to do, right, we'll just do any combo, but anytime we go into sky drop, just look at this. Their meter is gone, man. When we're in the corner, this looks even better. So as soon as we get here, I'll call Sareena in. And now literally just all that meter is gone. We got a full damage combo, but it's so good, man. Like, no matter what you do, you just go in a sky drop and call in Sareena. So basically what it'll look like in the mid screen, I'll basically just go into my full combo right here. We'll pop them up. And then anytime I go 2-1 to sky drop, we're just immediately calling in Sareena. And that's so good, man. All their meter is just depleting. Never gonna have breakers, so those times when you do have to cash out, you really get to, and they're not breaking, so you're not wasting 2 bars of meter. Just always calling her in with the aura on sky drop is crazy good. So Sareena honestly just works with Quan Chi everywhere. Definitely my #1 pick right now. The damage, the aura for depleting your opponent's meter, getting combos off random stand 4s out of nowhere just feels so good, man. 25%. So I'm liking Sareena a lot right now with Quan Chi. Our next cameo up is going to be Cyrax, and we're actually going to start right here with Cyrax's throw. So Cyrax can actually meter burn his throw. This does take 2 bars. Again, pretty much anything with Quan Chi takes up 2 bars if you're trying to get anything done, but mid-screen, forward throw, 23% right there. Again, super expensive, but getting 23% on a forward throw is solid for sure. And then Cyrax actually got a buff on his net, so it now depletes your opponent's meter, and it lasts for a long time, so you're pretty much getting a full bar of meter. So if the net does hit, we can just take our time. It's depleting all that meter, and then we can go into our full combo. Again, haven't burned any of our meter yet. We're getting about 27%, 26%, and we burned a bar of their meter off the net. Honestly, really good. I love to just kind of call this out. It catches a lot more people than you think when you just call it out. Next, of course, we do have self-destruct. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this. I feel like if you're using Cyrax, you're going to want to use your meter for other things. You're pretty much never going to use this. At least I'm not. But, I mean, if it does hit, all right, sure, maybe we get like a 20% combo, nice and easy. It's there, I guess. But the main reason we're using Cyrax, of course, is for the copter chopper. And with Quan Chi, we're throwing our opponent in the air all the time. I mean, this is pretty much going to be like the easiest 30% you're going to get with Quan Chi. That's no meter right there. Just half a bar of cameo. You catch them on a low. You go into your full combo. And just like that, we're getting 30% pretty much every single time. Really simple. If we want to use the 2 bars, we definitely can do that as well. We'll pop them up. As they get popped up, bring in Cyrax. Get a little bit of extra damage there. 360. Again, 2 bars of meter and a Cyrax. But as long as we're breaking 35%, I think the 2 bars of meter is okay. And the corner combos are basically going to look the same as the mid-screen ones. You're pretty much going to get 360, just about, maybe 366, a little bit more. We can go 1, 2, 2. Yeah, 366, a little bit more damage. Again, burning those 2 bars of meter, so it is expensive. So that's pretty much what it's always looking like, right? You're either going to hit 30, or if you burn that extra bar of meter, you're going to hit high 30s. But other than that, nothing really too crazy with Cyrax. I mean, it's pretty much just basic bread and butter stuff. 2-1 into airdrop is pretty much how you're going to end all your strings. Even if you only catch him with a simple like 1-3, go 4, bring him into Cyrax. 2-1.
and you're getting that guaranteed 27. So something like 27 to 300 damage every single time. Nice and simple without having to use any meter. Honestly, Cyrax works. It's not the craziest, most explosive damage, but you're just getting that very consistent 30% every time. Our next cameo up is going to be Kano, who actually brings some like solid utility to Quan Chi's unique kit. And to start, we do have the Kano knife. Now, a lot of people are obviously using Kano knives in combos and stuff like that. We could definitely do that. I think we get about 29 here. Just about 30%. No meter. Easy hit confirm combo with knives. Definitely solid in my opinion. If you can get 30 no meter with Quan Chi in your cameo, you're pretty much on the right track. But what I like the knives for is just another projectile. And since it's an ambush move, I can kind of freely do my own thing. So we can call in the knives. This actually sets me up for an easy setup into full screen projectiles, set up again. And I mean, you could just make it rain, right? We could go for pretty much anything. Just bring in the knives. It's a body and it's projectiles covering you. So set up your buff, get your zoning going. Another thing I like to use the Kano knives for is obviously if we go for a drop, it's super unsafe on block. So if you ever want to do YOLO sky drop, you can bring in the knives. And that's going to keep you nice and safe. It might even let you take your turn back with a down 1 or something. So if you know you want a YOLO sky drop, bring in the Kano knives, let them cover you. And then you get your block pressure going from there. So really good to just keep you covered at full screen. But also just a really solid option for those crazy projectiles. But that's a perfect segue into the Kano ball, which is also a great option. So we can end all of our strings in Kano ball. That's going to combo and give us a free setup. So we go into that one. We can go into our meter burn version. Kano ball. Push them full screen, set up again. And I mean, their health bar is gone. Again, it's not that big bursty damage that most people are probably looking for. It's more so controlling where your opponent is and giving you free opportunities to set up your buff. So honestly, if you like the zoning aspect of Quan Chi, this is just really good, man. There's so much you could do with it. You could bring in the Kano ball. That's a body in front of you, plus your projectiles now, and just cover the entire stage with bodies and projectiles. I also like Kano ball for extended block pressure. You just call them in. You take your turn back, maybe sneak a back 3 in there, pop them up, get full combo, whatever you want to do. Really good for just extended block pressure, however you want to go about it. And of course, Kano ball works for that YOLO sky drop as well. And we can kind of go into our pressure from there. So basically just bring Kano out and do whatever you want to do. That's the general game plan. Or you literally just use Kano to push them full screen and give you a free opportunity to set up. And he also kind of hides behind the buff too, which is super unique. Your opponent almost isn't even thinking about the knives, or if he goes into Kano ball form, there's just so much happening on screen and you have full control, which I really like. So Kano is a great option. Pretty much always is a great option, but very cool with a unique character like Quan Chi. Our next cameo up is going to be Sonya, and as I've been mentioning, highest damaging forward throw in the game, 14% on a forward throw, and with Quan Chi, your opponent's always blocking, so you can rack up these 14% really, really nicely. But really, everybody's looking for those air combos with Sonya and Square Wave. You can definitely get some cool air combos in the mid-screen. To start, we'll burn some meter, just to show what it looks like when you're burning everything. We go 2-1 multiple times, and you're getting just under 400 damage. Again, half a bar of Kameo and 2 bars of Quan Chi. Pretty expensive, but cashing out, getting that 400 damage is really good. If we don't have any meter with Sonya, I think we could break just about 30%. And there we go. Yep, 31%. Actually not bad at all in the mid-screen. Again, as long as we're breaking 300 damage with our Kameo and no meter, as I was saying earlier, we're on the right track. And then if we're in the corner, bringing Sonya in for some Square Wave. Always really good. I mean, this is pretty much the same as her mid-screen combo. Getting a little bit more damage, but 33% in the corner. And then if we want to burn our meter, again, using that 2 bars of meter now for these combos. It's always tough. It's always tough. When do you use it, and is it really worth it? But if we're getting 37% in the corner, I think that's a pretty good trade-off. What we can also do with Square Wave is use that kind of time that we have to get a setup. We get a free cage. Then we can kind of go into our combo. Square Wave again. So that's honestly what a situation would look like with Sonya. So if you want to use her more for setup and you want to sacrifice that damage, you can do that. Or if you want to go for full damage, we can definitely do that as well, right? Burn those 2 bars, bring her in, and end the combo just like that. Getting that 37% really good. Then we have her leg grab, which is a great move. Not too much side switch capability in Quan Chi's kit. So let's say we are in the corner, we want to get out of there. We could definitely do that. Side switch flows really nicely into the 1-3, 2-1. And just like that, we use Sonya twice. And we got out of the corner, and we did 29%. So really solid option there. I love doing that leg grab move to get out of the corner. And last but not least, Sonya has her energy rings. You can charge them up. And now they actually changed it. It's actually just a mid. It used to be a high. If you wanted to make it a mid, you had to fully charge it up, which you can still do. Adding this to Quan Chi's arsenal of already great projectiles, honestly, not bad. A really nice mid, and she recharges super fast. So there's a lot to do with Sonya. I feel like there's definitely more to be found, especially with Square Wave. But overall, she just is a great pick for most characters, and that is true for Quan Chi as well. Our next cameo up is Sektor, who is probably considered unanimously as the best cameo for Quan Chi. And it's probably best if I just show you why and what's possible with this character and cameo. And that is this combo string right here. Already at 41% before fatal. Hit the fatal. And we're getting about 565 in the corner. Now, that is pretty insane. And setting it up in a real game is going to be a little nuts. But there's a lot of possibilities with Sektor is what I'm saying. So let's get back to it. Of course, we just showed off the up rocket, right? One of the best moves in the game. Such an amazing projectile and works so well with Quan Chi, both in combos and in pressure. So we can just call it in. Up rocket hits, and we are just letting it rain. We can do whatever we want to do, even if we hit the sky drop, does some extra damage. There's a lot of really cool stuff that we could do with it. One thing I like to do with up rocket is actually use it in combos. You don't get to see this too much, but you actually do get full combo here, and honestly, some great damage. For Quan Chi, no meter, 36%. Absolutely insane in the mid-screen. You're really not seeing that too much with Quan Chi at all with other cameos. Not to mention, it's just such a great zoning tool, right? It just pairs so nicely with anything Quan Chi does. Just always go up rocket. Anytime you have a combo and you're ending with stomp, you just go into up rocket, and now they have to deal with it as soon as they stand up. Go for it again. Up rocket. Now they got to deal with it as soon as they stand up, and then we can go into our pressure, whatever we want to do. Basically, just always call it in. Like, as soon as Sektor cameo bar is up, just call in up rocket. We can actually use it for a little bit extra damage at the end of combos as well. So if you're really just trying to squeeze out an extra, like, whatever, 15 damage or something like that, this is such a long animation, and just like that, an extra 15 damage. Like I've been showing, it's basically possible to do something anywhere on screen with up rocket. Middle of combos, end of combos, no combos, just zoning. Up rocket is so good, and it turns Quan Chi into an absolute beast. And then next we have teleport punch, which actually pairs so well with Quan Chi's kit, because even at full screen, stand 4, teleport punch combos. It is insane. I thought you could literally just call this out, and you're getting full combo anywhere on screen for half a bar of cameo. It's not the most damage, but being able to just stick the big boot out is crazy. And if they are close to you, well, then you can definitely rack up some really solid damage. And just like that, we're getting 33. Really good. But being able to just call in stand 4, teleport punch anywhere on screen is absolutely ridiculous, man. And when people get caught by it, they're going to be mad. We can also use it in combos. Combos really nicely off 1-2. Then we can go 1-3. And finish our combo just like that. I mean, again, not the craziest damage. To get quarter of their health gone off just a nice simple combo like this in the mid screen off a 1-2, I'm definitely happy with that. We could also use Sektor twice in the same combo, which is sick because you can do teleport punch. Again, we are burning both bars of meter here, so use this as you want. But then we go teleport. And just like that, 33% using Sektor twice. It's expensive, but you can still do it. But between having up rocket and using your stand 4 and having stand 4 teleport punch as a combo, like, there's just so much you could do with Sektor. And the longer that Quan Chi's out, I feel like more people are going to find even more insane stuff with Sektor Quan. And then last but not least, we have flamethrower. It's a restand. I don't know how much you're going to be wanting to use restands with Quan Chi, but hey, definitely plenty of options to do so if you really want to. I could see you wanting to do this in the corner just to kind of keep your pressure on. You go stand 4, flamethrower, and then we kind of go into our 2-1-4-4, kind of mix them up a little bit there. So flamethrower is really good. Honestly, a good combo ender too. 27% on a restand in the corner. I mean, that's not bad, man. So overall, I just feel like everybody's using Sektor. It's just so good what you get to do with it. The pressure, the combos, it's all there. Sektor, definitely most people's #1 pick right now with Quan Chi. Our next coming up is going to be Frost, who's honestly a great place to start if you're trying to learn Quan Chi. And that, of course, is because we have Ice Carpet. Full screen low, that freezes, combo extender. Even if we're at full screen and we call it in and it hits, you still have plenty of time, man, to get all the way up and do your combo. If you are max range, full screen, and you don't think you have enough time to go all the way up, well, we could just call it in. You could just do a stand 4 into teleport. I mean, that's a full screen low, giving you 14%. Not to mention, since it is a low, Quan Chi has a ton of overheads built into his kit. So, for example, 1-3, this is an overhead. So I've caught a lot of people just by doing stand 1 into low, and then that opens me up for a full combo. Nice and simple right there, right? We can just end and get 25. But my main string, of course, is the 2-1-4-4. Obviously ends with 2 overheads, so honestly at any point technically this becomes a mix-up. So you could do 2-1, they're expecting the overhead, you go low, and then we go into our full combo right there. Or you could do 2-1-4 and then go into low, because again we have that overhead on the 4th hit. So just kind of gauge what your opponent does at the beginning of the game when you're doing 2-1-4. Are they blocking overhead for the last 2? If you do notice they are blocking overhead, I mean, just swing this out there. And then, of course, on hit, right, we are getting that full combo that we saw before. So Ice Carpet's great, man. I absolutely love it. One of my favorite moves in the game. And again, if you are trying to learn Quan Chi's combos, they're a little bit weird. So Ice Carpet is a great place to start. Gives you plenty of time to kind of just get this basic bread and butter down. And again, you're getting that 36%. 2 bars, 36%. I like that a lot. A lot of people are struggling with this 2 bars combo extender right here. I feel like if you're getting over 350 damage, it does end up working out for you. And Frost definitely lets us do that. In the corner, actually, this gets a little bit more interesting because since we're right next to our opponent, we can set up buff and go into 1-2. Now this is just a 1-bar full combo right here. We're getting 33% in the corner just for 1 bar, which is super important to know. You actually don't have enough time to do this in the mid screen because it pushes them way too far back. So by the time you set up, you just don't have enough time. But if we're in the corner, plenty of time to set up, and then we can go into 1-2. This is just a 1-bar combo now, and we can kind of get all of our damage that we want to get. But we'll see more of that with another cameo later. Next up, we have our Ice Crash, which I really like. Ice Crash gives you amazing frames to set up your projectiles right here, go into your buff. So pretty much anything into Ice Crash, and I mean, we get a free setup right here. It pushes them full screen. We can go into our full combo if we want to, or we could do Ice Crash. We could set up and trick our opponent. We go into low, and then we get our full combo right there. So there's just so many mind games and so much you could do just off of the combination of like Ice Carpet. You have Ice Crash, which is also great frames as well. So if our opponent is blocking, we just call it in. This gives me some really nice frames and some pushback, so definitely something you want to use. And then speaking of pushback, if we hold, we get a full screen push. Great chip out tool. So honestly, we just go into one of our strings and then I'll bring it in. Great chip out tool. Again, as I said, pushes them full screen, and we can get back to our zoning game. And again, Frost is pretty much already back, so we can go full screen low. And last but not least, her newly buffed Freeze Orb, which I don't believe it went full screen when this game first came out. I think this has changed a little bit in one of the patches. If not, whatever. This is just such a great combination because now your opponent has to deal with that. Gives us free time to set up our buff, or we could go into the orb. And then we can set up our very low skull. So, I mean, it's just... There's... Oh, wait. That looks actually hilarious. It's the first time I've seen that. But, yeah, there's a lot of options. You can kind of just call this in. Use it to walk your opponent down if you're trying to get in. And then, of course, right, if it does hit... This gives us plenty of time to go into our back 3 combo and kind of extend. So overall, I love Frost. Again, if you are just learning Quan Chi, Frost is a great place to start. Some really nice mix-up added to his kit. Really good for combos. And then if you're trying to get a little bit extra, you can do a lot of kind of setups and things like that. Not to mention, you just stick the boot out there and you can get full screen combos with the low as well. Ice Carpet is just so good everywhere. So overall, I love Frost. Again, if you're just learning Quan Chi, you're just picking him up, Frost is a great choice. Our next cameo up is going to be Jax. And of course, starting with his forward throw, it's important to know that you can actually meter burn it up to 2 times. The first time you meter burn it, you get 16 damage on the forward throw. And the second time you meter burn it, you're getting that 21%. Again, very expensive. That's the general theme here with Quan Chi and any cameo that he uses. But if you're trying to close out a game and get a nice throw, 21%, definitely a solid choice. And the one thing I like about Jax is Quan Chi can basically use his entire kit to his advantage. So first, of course, we have the backbreaker, air combo extender. So, of course, we're always popping our opponent up. We can go into Jax, 2-1 into the overhead right here. And 31% in the mid screen. I mentioned it earlier. If you're getting over 300 damage for no meter with Quan Chi and his cameo, I think you're in the right spot. Then, of course, in the corner, we can get some pretty sweet combos as well. We'll burn the meter just to kind of show off what you can actually do with Jax. We'll go for that. Backbreaker. And drop 37% in the corner. With Quan Chi, if you can get over 350 with 2 bars, definitely worth it. But what's really cool with Jax is since the backbreaker takes up a lot of time, this gives you a chance to set up. So if you like a more setup version of Quan Chi, you don't really care about the damage, Jax lets us do that because now we can set up and boom, we go right into that cage setup, get our full combo, and then let's say we pop him up again. We go 1-3, Jax. Let him do backbreaker. We set up cage. And just like that, right into cage setup, and we can do whatever we got to do. So there are setups in the mid screen as well. So let's say we just get our basic bread and butter combo here. Call in Jax. This gives us a free opportunity to go buff, and he's going to push them full screen. So again, we're sacrificing that damage, but we're making up for it with the buff, with the projectiles, with the full screen presence, the pressure, whatever you want to call it. So it really just depends. How do you like playing Quan Chi? Do you want to do damage with backbreaker? Or do you want to kind of get your either cage set up, or do you want to kind of get your buff set up? A lot of options, a lot of different ways to play them, which I like. I think that's super important. And next we have the ground pound, which I'm actually using a ton. So one thing I like to do is basically just end all my strings in sky drop, and then we go ground pound setup. They got to deal with it immediately. They got to meet me in the air for my amazing 2-1 sky drop. So just such a good pressure tool, man. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do. Anytime you go sky drop, let's bring in Jax, get the ground pound set up. They're going to meet me in the air one more time, go for it again. And look at that, like half their health bar is gone because of that pressure. But not only that, basically anytime you do anything, right? If we go into our down back 4-ender, they got to meet us in the air just again. We could call them in again. And I mean, you just got to get better with the timing, but that ground pound setup is always there for you. Honestly, I'm using ground pound setups way more with Quan Chi than I am backbreaker. And that's honestly weird because I'm usually always looking for those backbreaker combos. But man, there is just something about this setup that is so good. Your opponent can't do anything, man. And you can basically always combo. It's such a sick setup. And then last but not least, we have Jax's Get Off Me tool. I actually do like using this on block. So if our opponent's blocking, we can just send them back full screen, kind of do what we got to do. Really solid option there. It's got some good range too. You're starting to see a lot of people use Kameo reversals in MK1 now that it's been out a while, and this is definitely one of the better ones in the game. So overall, right now, I think there's so much more to Jax that needs to be found. He's just such a tough Kameo already, mixed in with like the bizarreness of Quan Chi. So over time, I think I'm going to switch to Jax. But as of right now, you know, some pretty decent combo damage, but we're really looking for these ground pound setups, man. Our next Kameo up is going to be Stryker, who's actually shaping up to be one of the strongest Kameos in the game, and that's strictly from the utility that his grenades bring. So first up, if you guys have been watching these Kameo videos for a while now, you know that I love to use the grenades for combos, and we definitely get that. About 32% mid-screen, no meter at all with Quan Chi. Absolutely perfect. And like I always say, there's just something about these grenade combos, man, that are so satisfying. And yeah, super simple. Get the timing down and you'll get some really solid damage. But people are mostly using these grenades as a way to cover them on unsafe moves. So basically what you can do, a lot of people will do like armored, and our armored moves are sky drop, super minus on block. We're going to get blown up for it. So what you could do, call in the grenades, and just like that, you get a free armored sky drop. So basically just using this anytime you know you're about to go sky drop, call in the grenades. They're going to keep you safe. You might even be able to steal your turn back right after that, depending on your timing. I also like to use them in like extended block strings. So we go grenades, we can kind of take our turn back, go grenades, take our turn back again. And I mean, just literally applying non-stop pressure to our opponent from the mid-screen. We also have some fun things we could do in the corner, of course. We can bring grenades in. 2-1. Easy combos right there. No meter at all. So if we want to burn the meter, we could definitely do that. It's going to cost us 2 bars, but we could definitely do it for sure. And again, that's going to bring us to about 35% now. Probably way more you could do with that, but bread and butter, 35%. Not the worst. But it is really for just either using it on these combos right here, easy hit confirms, and get your full combo. I still don't know how that hits, man. It looks like it's not going to hit, but it does. Or like I said, for our block pressure, we could always just bring it in. It's going to keep us nice and safe. Take our turn back. Grenades are so good in this game right now. And next up, we do have the baton. There's a low version and there is an overhead version. I feel like you're going to be using the low version way more just because we have built-in overheads here. So then we go low. Nice mix-up. Good knockdown pressure. Any of the other Kameos we mentioned earlier, this is double overhead. So technically, there's like 2 50-50s in here. You could send out the first overhead and then mix up on the second overhead. Instead, go low, or just go 2-1 and then go low on the first overhead. A lot of mind games there. Also, a little tricky knockdown. You could do back 3 into the overhead baton. Only 10%, but again, we're not really using this for damage. We're using this really to get that knockdown pressure and force our opponent to either like wake up armor, we block it, full combo punish. A lot of options there, but really good for knockdown pressure. Or we could even do double low if we really want to. Like, tons of options on the baton that I really like. And of course, don't forget 1-3 has an overhead in it. So just go 1 into the knockdown. And last but not least, we do have cuffed, a restand. I feel like other characters benefit from restands a little bit more than Quan Chi does, unfortunately, but I mean, there's definitely things we could do. We could get cuffed going right there, go into our projectiles. So if you really like cuffed, you like the restands, we could definitely do that. Go restand. It takes a while though, but then we can get our buff going, and then who knows, we go from there, right? But I'm mostly using the meter on these grenades, either on block pressure, on YOLO sky drops, we're using the grenades. In the middle of all of our combos, we can use them, which is absolutely sick. Get some really solid damage. 32 again, as we've been showing. Stryker is so good. The more you use Stryker and the better you get with these grenades and know when to use them, you just get that much better. They are such an insane pressure tool in this game right now. So Stryker, a great choice for pretty much anyone at this point, but especially Quan Chi. Our next Kameo up is going to be Scorpion, and honestly, I'm learning more with Scorpion and Quan Chi every day. There's so much you could do with this character that's awesome. And then first, of course, we have Fire Breath Air combo extender, and this is where you'll start to see that you could do some pretty unique stuff. I mean, first and foremost, though, just to get some basic bread and butter combos out of the way. You're breaking that 30%. That's exactly what we're looking for in the mid-screen for no meter. But if you like more of like a setup Quan Chi, right? You're not really too interested in the damage. We get a free cage setup, and then this will lead to full combo. We can go with the Fire Breath again, get our full combo that way. But it's really just a solid way to get Bone Cage every single time set up. Meter burn it 1 bar. Now they're stuck. And we get a full combo just like that. Once you really start kind of flowing in the match and just constantly going into this cage setup, your opponent really can't do anything. You are just in full control. We can also, of course, do it in the corner, right? Pop them up, Fire Breath, or send up our cage. We can go jump in, and then we kind of get our pressure going that way. Just so much that you could do. So many different setups, so much pressure that you can apply with this Bone Cage. You're not seeing a lot of people use it, but the ones that are, and maximizing its effectiveness, are able to use Scorpion to be able to do that. But since we are in the corner, let's get some good-looking Hellfire combos, because we could definitely do that as well. We'll burn the meter, go far Hellfire, and that gives us a chance to set up another 2-1 in the air. 36%, not the worst, not the best, but about average when we're playing Quan Chi and using those 2 bars. If we use those 2 bars in the mid-screen, We can pretty much get like the same combo. We'll go for it here. Anytime you go 2-1, just go far Hellfire. And there we go, just like that. 38% now in the mid-screen, so a little bit better. Then, of course, we have his overhead, which is a combo extender. This does not work on something like 2-1-4, but it definitely works on 1-2, so really easy. You can just go for a stand 3 and then get your full combo. Not the craziest combo in the world, but nice and simple. No meter, 24%. It's also really nice to throw back 3 out there and then go into the overhead. It is safe now after the recent patch, so kind of just go into it, get our combo there. Again, you're not getting insane combos off this overhead extender, but you are getting combos, and that's what matters. Also, off stand 4, it definitely works. So you can kind of just call in your stand 4 and get your full combo that way. Really solid, good range. Stand 4 pushes them towards you, so you can always get that combo like that. And interestingly enough, this is the first time I'm going to say this, but Scorpion's get away from me chain, right? Pushes you full screen and has a hit of armor is actually amazing for Quan Chi because it's going to pull you full screen and you get a free setup right away. And we can go into our buff, go into our projectile, whatever we want to do. So if we are in our block pressure up close, right? We're just going to get pull full screen. I'm going to set up buff and then we can we're back here now and I can set up whatever it is I want to set up. So honestly, this is the first time that I'm actually really utilizing Scorpion's get away from me chain. But overall, it really just depends on how you want to use it. You can get those 30 to 37% combos with Scorpion and Fire Breath, or we could use Scorpion as like a setup tool and we can get into our Bone Cage. If you're really liking the setups that Quan Chi does with Bone Cage, Scorpion is perfect for that. So it really just depends on how you like to play Quan Chi, but I think all the different ways to play Quan Chi, Scorpion fits. Our next cameo up is going to be Sub-Zero, an extremely popular choice among Quan Chi players, and for good reason. So one of Quan Chi's biggest pain points, of course, is to get any combos, you got to burn 2 bars a meter for this move. However, when you're playing Sub, we have the freeze, and this actually opens us up to a 1-bar combo. So for example, we can just do 2-1-4, easy hit confirm, setup. We go 1-2 into the big skull. And now, of course, it's only 1 bar of meter. And just like that, we're getting 35% for 1 bar of meter in the mid-screen. Something that Quan Chi can never get. So being able to set up, you have so much time, get set up. And of course, anytime you go 1-2, you get your free combo extender. Not to mention, it just looks absolutely sick. And even if you don't want to use the 1 bar, we're still breaking like 320 off the freeze, right? Because we just get in our normal string here, go for the ender. And just like that, 327, no meter at all, and Sub-Zero is pretty much already back. So that freeze is so good. But we've been talking about the cage setups a lot, right? So if you ever end 2-1, we can go into freeze, and this is a free setup, right into cage, and you can do whatever you want to do from there. We could even spend the bar, right? Again, just only using 1 bar, go into freeze, set up our cage, plenty of time, and then we kind of go for our pressure right there. So if you really like the cage setups, Sub is so good. If you like damage, Sub, again, is so good. And then to show what a corner combo would look like, we go for it. Nice and simple here. Then we're going to get our 1-3, our jump 2-1. And there we go, just like that. Again, 35% in the corner, just for 1 bar. Super simple. And then, of course, in the corner, we can get those bone cage setups just like we want to get. Nice and simple. Bone cage. Gonna trap them on their wake up, and then we can just go for it. So a lot of options, man. If you want the damage, if you want the setup, Sub is just so good just because of this freeze. But I love going into this 1-2 into this skull combo. You don't really get many opportunities to get a 1 bar nice combo with Quan Chi. So be able to get it with Sub is definitely a plus in my book. But we have way more utility with Sub, and that of course is because of Arctic Armor, which is going to stop any projectiles. And Quan Chi is honestly one of the best zoners in the game right now. So to be able to have this freeze, you're pretty much winning every single zone fight. So if we set Shang Tsung to throw some projectiles at us, so there's literally nothing your opponent can do. You can just sit back here and do everything you want. Your projectiles are going through theirs anyway. So as soon as you call that ice armor in, we just set up our buff. I mean, we could even go for the combo extending one, get full combo right here. The armor is just so good. This just gives him invulnerability during his zoning, which is absolutely insane. So ice armor is unreal how good it is. And then last but not least, we have cold shoulder, which I actually love to use with Quan Chi, especially on block string. So on block, this is going to push them, and then we could actually go with like a 1-2-2, right? Look how much range that has. You're pretty much going to catch them. So really nice for pushback, right? Push your opponent back. This honestly even gives you a second to set up if you really want to. And if you want to use it on hit, right, it's going to push them full screen, gives you plenty of time to set up. Then we can even set up ice armor, and now our opponent just has to deal with all of this. Sub-Zero, utility-wise, is so good. He's got damage, he's got invulnerability, he's got pushback. There is just so much to do with Sub, not to mention a 13 damage throw. Second highest damaging throw in the game. Sub, an amazing, amazing pick for Quan Chi. Our next cameo up is Kung Lao, who has been catching a couple nerfs lately, but still one of the best cameos in the game. And the first one we'll talk about is Low low hat. Just such a good low projectile. It's fast. You could also hold and delay it and then let it rip. And since it's a low projectile, of course, it pairs beautifully with Quan Chi's overheads, right? Just really making your opponent have to think. Pretty much always being able to steal your turn back. They got to worry about the low. They got to worry about the overheads. You could do 1 into low because 1-3, of course, ends in that overhead. 2-1-4 into low. And not only that, of course, at full screen, it just pairs really nicely. Now we're just covering high and low. We can do our regular projectile. We could also set up our buff while the low hat's going. So just so much you can do with low hat pretty much anywhere on screen. And of course, not to mention on block strings, of course, call it in, take your turn back. It's not as plus as it used to be anymore, so you might not be able to do all the craziness that you wanted to do, but definitely still such a great pressure tool. Block, on hit, anything. Low hat is just so good. Furthermore, what I like to do with low hat is it keeps you nice and safe on your overhead. So you can pretty much sky drop from anywhere on screen, let the hat rip. And now this essentially creates like an overhead low, hard to blockable almost, depending on your timing. One or the other is going to catch, right? Either your overhead sky drop's going to catch, or they're going to get clipped by the low hat. And then you can kind of take your turn from there, do whatever you want to do another low hat, whatever the case is. There's just so much utility with low hat, man. Anywhere on screen, it's so good. And then next, of course, we have spin, combo extender. You're not going to get the most insane damaging combos, but we could do some pretty simple combos in the mid screen, get some decent damage. Stand 4, 1-3, stand 4 into our low ender, just like that. 29% mid-screen off a 2-1. Obviously not the best in the game, but definitely good for Quan Chi. And if we want to burn both of our bars of meter to extend that combo, we can definitely do that. Is it worth it? I mean, obviously, it's kind of up to you in the moment, depending on what's going on in the game. But regardless, we can definitely get some good damage. I mean, breaking that 35%, getting 36%. Anything over 350, I'm generally okay with burning 2 bars of meter for. In the corner with spin, we can actually get some even better damage. We can pop them up. 1-3. And then just like this, then we'll burn the bar of meter. And of course, go 2-1. And right there, 39%, just about 40. Really solid. If you can hit 400 with Quan Chi, you're doing something right. But then other than that, it's basically just the teleport. I'm not really using this too much. I really don't feel like you need it with Quan Chi, just because you have a free sky drop that you could do just off of doing the low hat. Nothing too crazy with the teleport. Mostly using Kung Lao just for this low hat, man. All the different things you can do with low hat are just so good. So I like Kung Lao. Really solid. That low hat, occasional spin combos to cash out on some damage. Just such a good option for every character. Definitely great for Quan Chi. Our next cameo up is going to be Shujinko, who we actually skip in these videos. His moveset changes based on whatever character you're playing against. That's kind of a video in and of itself, so we're going to skip him for now. Our next cameo up is going to be Motaro, who actually just caught a recent buff, so he's not that bad anymore. The only thing I will say to start, though, is if you notice my health, Quan Chi does not have a lot of health, and Motaro is not giving you a lot of health. You only have 850. Is it worth it? I mean, if you believe in your defense, maybe, but 850 health is tough, man. But if you are interested, we can do some pretty cool stuff with Motaro. The first thing we have is the low shot. This is what recently got buffed, and it is now insanely plus on block. So you go for it, and you have plenty of time to just go for whatever string you want to do next. Motaro recharges pretty quick, but this being, I believe it's now plus 13 on block, which is insane. You have so much time to just take your turn back, maybe walk up, go back throw, whatever it is you want to do. This move is absolutely insane on block now, especially if you're in the corner. Like, getting that 13 frame advantage is so good, man. You can just go into your pressure from there. Not to mention, we've been talking about it all day. We have a bunch of overheads in our string, so overhead into low knockdown. Really solid mix up right there. It's fast, and it works. And even if they don't block and you're trying to commit to it, you're getting about 14% on a knockdown right there. Not bad at all, and it kind of pushes them full screen. We can go into our setup. By the time they get back up, they got to deal with all these projectiles. You can even do a stand 4 into the low, right? So it's either if they block this, you're getting 13 frames plus, or you're getting that knockdown 10%. Really not bad. Motaro comes back so fast, man. It's crazy how good he is now that he got buffed. Then, of course, we have his Reflect, which works so nicely with Quan Chi because it's just such a good body in front of you, and he's reflecting everything. Plenty of time to set up our buff. So if we set Shang Tsung to throw some projectiles at us, we can call in our Reflect. We get a free setup. And then, I mean, there's really nothing that Shang Tsung can do from here. So I like Reflect a lot. I think it's a great move, and it pairs really nicely with how good Quan Chi is at zoning, and to give him that second to get his buff up. And then we have Tail Turret, which takes up the whole bar of Kameo, but again, just another great addition to Quan Chi's already crazy zoning. So we could call it in. This gives us plenty of time to go into our buff, and we could just make it rain. Absolutely insane amount of projectiles on screen. It does take out Motaro's whole Kameo, so it's a little bit tough, but if you're really just trying to close out a game and you just need to stay back here and zone as much as you can, this is a great option. And last but not least, we have the teleport. A really quick teleport that I like a lot and brings some interesting utility to Quan Chi. We could actually go fake jump in and teleport, meet him on the other side. I don't know whenever you're going to use that, but at full screen, if we do this slow skull and immediately teleport, we can actually get a full combo off of full screen projectile and getting a quarter of their health down 25%. So this, honestly, this teleport is pretty sick. I feel like every time I make one of these videos, I'm finding something new with this teleport, and it shocks me every time. So definitely don't sleep on this, man. The fact that you can just call this in, you get a free teleport in. But let's say we're at full screen, right? This is super slow. They're going to block it. We still get to go for that plus frames craziness, right? Off the low tail shot mix-up. So there's so much you could do with this teleport. It's so good. Again, the only downfall to Motaro, he's fun. There's a lot of cool stuff you could do now with Quan, but that 850 health is brutal. And our next cameo up is going to be Goro, and same situation as Motaro. We only have 850 health when using Goro with Quan. Definitely tough, especially when the cameo isn't giving you that much more insane damage. So the trade-off is a little wonky, but if you like Goro, there's some stuff you could do for sure. And first up, we have Raise the Roof, which is just such a good move in combos and on block strings. So for example, on block, we can call in Raise the Roof, and that'll keep us plus, and we can take our turn back, call in Raise the Roof, take your turn back, etc. based on your timing. Raise the Roof is really good in block pressure. You can always just call it in and take your turn back. And Quan does have some pretty sneaky stuff that he could do. So taking your turn back with some of these overheads and stuff like that is actually really good. Then there's some basic B&B combos that we could do with Quan and Goro. We can do stand 4 just like that. 28%. And it puts them at full screen and gives us a chance to set up our buff. So again, you're not getting like crazy damage or anything like that, but you are getting an opportunity to set up and go into your projectiles, which is what a lot of Quan players want to do. But furthermore, we could definitely just get regular combos. We can go into Raise the Roof and get a double jump 2-1. 25%, quarter of their health, not too bad at all. This is also super random, but if you hit down 2, you have plenty of time to confirm it into Raise the Roof. So you can do down 2, Raise the Roof, and then you can get a teleport. So off a down 2, instead of 140 damage, now you're getting about 20%. Also not too bad. This forward 2-1 is great as well, but it's pretty minus. But you can go forward 2-1, Raise the Roof, take your turn back, maybe sneak a back 3-4 in there to get a combo. Raise the Roof is really good. Again, not the most insane combos or anything like that, but really good for utility, pressure, and frames. Then we have Dead Weight, which is a combo extender and side switch. So we can do 2-1-4 into Dead Weight. Really easy to hit confirm. 2-1. And then get 25% like that. Not the most damage, but really easy hit confirm. And we don't have to use any meter. We could probably do something like this. And we could actually burn meter if we really wanted to. Again, side switch, going into about 35. Not the worst in the world. Again, I really like to use this just to get out of the corner and put my opponent in the corner. And now we can get our pressure that we want to get. So we can go 2-1, nice and simple. We get full combo, 30%, plus now we have corner pressure. Really good. And our last two moves, honestly, I'm like never using these with Goro, but we do have Stomp, which is pretty good. I mean, it gives you a free opportunity to set up your buff and go into your pressure. It is the entire Goro cameo bar, and it takes forever to come back. So I don't know if you really want to be using that. And then last but not least, we do have Punch Walk. I've said it multiple times in these cameo videos. I have yet to see this move used online against me when I'm playing against someone using Goro. I don't know, man. It's just, you can't do anything while he's doing it. Like, if you could call out Punch Walk and then set up your buff, but you literally can't do anything. You're just kind of sitting there. Really not the best move. You more so want to use Goro for Raise the Roof, for plus frames, or for extending your combos, or you want to use Dead Weight for some side switching combos and things like that. Again, Goro, he's good, but only having 850 health, I'm just not seeing the benefits of bringing him in. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Raise the Roof is such a sick move. And our final cameo up is gonna be Tremor, and you can do so much with Quan and Tremor. It's absolutely awesome. And to start, we'll do some really basic bread and butters with Aftershock. You can just pop them up. And then we can get our full combo just like that. About 33% mid-screen, no meter. Absolutely perfect for Quan. If we do burn the bar of meter, we can get just about like 40% in the mid-screen. Again, it's going to be burning 2 bars of meter here, but still 40% in the mid-screen. Really solid. 403. You can't go wrong with that. If you don't want to push them full screen for that 40%, we can get a little bit less damage, but we can literally end with our Sky Drop, which is just such a good ender because it leaves you right next to your opponent. So just like that, 399, just under 400, and we end up right next to our opponent. So a couple options in the mid-screen there. Next up, we do have the Punch, which is just such a great move. You can use it to end your strings, go into Punch, push them full screen, go into your setup. Or what I really like to do is kind of sandwich them. You go stand 4 into Punch, and you're just literally sandwiching them and then pushing them full screen and go into the buff. This is just so satisfying to hit online. It's absolutely awesome. And then, like I said, go right into your buff. And finally, in terms of Aftershock, we do have a triple hitting low, which of course, perfect pair for our mix-ups. We get a nice combo there. Not the craziest damage, but again, pushes them full screen. We can go into buff. It's a nice mix-up because we have a double hitting overhead in this string. So pretty much at any time, calling the low. Nice little mix-up there for sure. But when we start to use Ambush Tremor, this is where things get absolutely insane. And the first combo, anytime you go Sky Drop, bring in Tremor, and we can just extend the combo just like that after Sky Drop. This is super pricey. It's going to be 2 bars a meter plus your entire Tremor, but I mean, getting that 44%, absolutely awesome. We love that. But you also have other options, of course. We go into Tremor, just like this. We go into Crystalline, and we get free Crystalline armor set up for our opponent's Wake Up. It lasts for a pretty long time. So it's actually really good. So if you like crystalline armor, you could definitely get a free setup just like that. Your opponent can't do anything about it. Free crystalline armor. Again, I always say it. I just absolutely love Aftershock, man. I mean, even if you don't have any meter at all, you can get such good damage, dude. 33% mid-screen, no meter. Tremor's pretty much already back, but there is those times where you really need to cash out. So there's definitely a way to do that. We can get that full combo and just go for it. Maybe it's the end of the game. You want to close it out. Just end it with a nice 44%. Or if not, you're pushing them full screen and getting your setup anyway. So much that you could do with Tremor. He's absolutely awesome. And then if you do like Metallic, of course, there's some stuff we could do, right? We do have the bowling ball. Really nice to kind of pair with our high. You could also do an overhead one. Between the punch to keep you safe. Between the low for mix-ups, and then between the up punch for whatever combos you want to do. Aftershock Tremor is absolutely awesome. But again, there is that utility for Crystalline Tremor where you can get that armor. So honestly, Tremor is really cool. He's super unique, and for a character as unique as Quan Chi, it definitely works as well. But man, I am absolutely loving using Tremor. There's just so much that you can do, and I'm finding like more and more out with this character as I'm playing him with Quan Chi. Tremor definitely in like the top 4 or 5 cameos for sure that you want to pick when using Quan Chi.